Hi, this is Andrei Kuzhavtsev, and welcome to another Fairlight video. If you expect that I'll be playing Fairlight today, no, that's not the case. I'll be talking about the restoration of a Fairlight Series 3, of that particular system that I spent my last 3 months, and I'll go over the details, what exactly has been done to this, what has been improved since the, I would say, factory configurations, and give you some tips about what can you do to your own Fairlight, or if you're in a shopping, what you need to look first when you'll be looking for your Fairlight. Alright, with that, let's get started. The first that you need to remember that there are no two identical Fairlights. And this is the, let's say, unfortunate that system has been developed over the years, and it was constantly developed since the early, well, let's say mid-80s for Series 3 introduction till the mid-90s, where the last Mfx 2 systems came out of that Fairlight ESP. It's been constantly improved. There are many revisions, different boards, add-ons that came over, and of course software changed a lot too. If you ask if there is the best version, the magic version that you can look for, well, it depends on the preferences. Some systems really are great in their original condition, the way how they've been, they came out of factory in early, in mid-80s, while other systems, in this particular case, this is the latest revision of the Fairlight Series 3 called Mfx 2. So this is where the Fairlight introduced the digital recording and mastered that until they completely abandoned the music technology and went to post-production. So this system in particular, well, by the way, it already has customers, so I'm not selling this system. I'm just talking about what has been done to this. This system really comes with all the latest revisions of everything possible for the Series 3. So that starts with the computer boards, with the channel cards, with the audio output cards. There are many things that you may decide to look on. And, well, a couple of these examples that, well, for instance, memory capacity of the system. One of the interesting things to look at, and let's look inside the system, is how the internal layout of that's a digital bin. It's called digital bin because it has all digital cards inside it, the analog cards on the backside. Here you see that, well, it's pretty dense here, there's nothing here. There's a reason for that. Usually in this section of that system, there are memory modules, which basically come up to 32 megabytes. Yes, megabytes, maximum capacity of a memory. This system doesn't have any of that. Instead of that, all the factory models have been replaced by the single board that emulates these 32 megabytes using just a standard computer memory. So there is no heat produced. That is the basic that you need to know about Fairlight. Fairlight produces the heat. In order to be in a working condition, it has to have a constant airflow. So cooling has to be working in these systems. And that's what I personally spend a lot of time to make sure that we get to the master of a cooling and the system really in a great condition. So in this section, there are all the channel cards, and these particular systems, it comes with the latest version of the channel cards as well as the latest version of the computer cards. So that's what you need to know, because this configuration of the latest channel cards, this is what actually allows you to run the latest software. So there is always a dependency between the software version that you can run and the hardware version. And that's a whole reason why, for instance, systems that have been produced on the version 6 of the software, they cannot run version 9 without changes in the hardware. All right. On the back side of that system, well, it's a pretty regular system. So it has all the channel cards populated, 16 channels total. But one of the greatest advantage that Fairlight came late 80s called router card. Router card is basically the routing unit, that's what it stands for, that takes all the 16 output channels and puts it to the router, which is a 24 channel. So in that way, you may say, you may actually assign your voices dynamically. So you no longer assign it statically. you say that I'll be playing the voice with that level of a polyphony, and that will be output on the router, on the router 1, for instance, output. And with that, all these cards will be in a real time dynamically manage this polyphony, and so that's how you can get to all your 16 voices polyphony at a time. So great advantage at that time. Of course, this system also has VJ board, and that's why there's a VJ output, so you can connect it to pretty much standard monitor, not exactly standard. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but at least you can interface it to something that has a flat panel on it. All right, so that's it from that side. All the 16 channel cards, they have the latest version of a channel card that also includes what's called sample hold modification. Sample hold modification provides extra transparency. And so if you use this system, for instance, in really disc recording environment, that's really critical because you want to get to the best sound possible. For some early systems, you may otherwise decide that you actually want to run the system on the early version of the software because of imperfection of that system. And that's what we are looking for today when we use hardware samplers. We want to use them because we like their imperfection. This system also has the latest input card, so keep in mind, no matter how many channels you can record or play back, in that case it's Mfx with CMI capability, you still have only 2 inputs, left and right, for recording, and the particular input card that is installed here is 100 kilohertz card. It has analog input, left and right, and it also has a digital input. Early input cards, they don't have it, but again, it's a matter of preference. You may say that I would prefer to stay with early card because it doesn't sound that nice, and maybe that's what you're looking for. All right, so now let's get to this side. What's going on here? Well, here all the magic happens. Originally, of course, these systems, they use the SCSI hard drives, so actual rotating hard drives. Over the years, there are many ways to replace the hard drives with flash technology, with solid-state drives. And for that reason, there are a couple of products in the market. The product that I'm using last, well, let's say 7 years since the initial prototypes, called SCSI 2SD. SCSI 2SD is the board that takes the SD card on one end and has the SCSI interface on another end. So basically you can emulate your hard disk, and not just a single hard disk, multiple hard disks at the same time. What you need to remember that the performance of these boards can be somehow limited. So for some certain workloads, it may be not enough to get enough bandwidth, while for other workloads, like working with small files when you load samples, is just perfect. So this system has 2 units. They are installed in a drive cage, so that's a drive cage with locker. And the way it works, so you open the drive cage, then you pull it out, and this is where you have SCSI 2SD. So this is the board, this is SD card. The way I designed for this particular configuration, because it's MFX2, it can run software 11 for this system, which is a final version of the software for MFX2, as well as some people prefer running software 9 because, well, it's quick, snappy. If you just use this system for music production as a musical instrument, that would be probably the best option. While if you combine it with digital recording, of course, software 11, that's what you have to have. And with that, of course, you can take the card out, replace it with another card, and so that's how you can change the version just quickly on the fly. Also, you'll find a hole here, and that's on purpose, honestly, because there is a USB port, and you can use this USB port for exchanging the data with the system without taking the card out. The way I'm using it, so there are, first of all, a couple of software tools that can help you. But the way I do it, so you can put the cable through in, connect it here, and so then you have the actual USB cable coming outside of the system. There are 2 software tools, main software tools. One is free and open source called CMI on OS 9, cross-platform, can run Linux, Windows, Mac OS. but it's a command line. So you need to learn how to operate with that tool. It's more like get to the feeling of a software developer rather than being a musician. There is a more user-friendly tool called Chicken Systems Translator, obviously produced by a company, Chicken Systems. And this tool has a graphical interface available for macOS, available for Windows, and it now supports full bidirectional conversion to the translator, to a Fairlight, from any known format to Fairlight format and back. And obviously this is the easiest way to get data inside the system if you actually want to convert some of existing libraries, or you want, for instance, capture the library with the system, then add it on the PC or Mac, and then put it back to the system. And obviously, but it's a commercial product, you need to remember that. Why I have two drive cages here? The reason for having a second drive cage, even this actually unit, SCSI2SD, it emulates 6 cards the way I set up it right now, so it emulates 6 drives at a time. So I don't have any problems with capacity, believe me. The main problem is actually get performance enough for Mfx recording, because Mfx recording can play back up to 24 channels at a time. And in order to do so, you have to deliver the bandwidth from your storage. The way I do that is sort of a legacy way, because in this drive bay, I have actual hard disk. So if I want to use the system with Mfx recording capabilities, I'll be just recording that on this hard disk, and basically all my data will stay there. While I'll be using the SCSI2SD to manage all my sample libraries and using that as a sampler, as a musical instrument. Anyway, if I don't need this, I can always turn it off, just without even unplugging, just put the key inside it and turn it off, and then basically the drive will not spin up and will not produce any heat and will not produce any noise. Noise now. Cooling. Cooling is critically important, as I said. This system has automated thermal management with the control panel in front. This is not the first time I'm doing that. I've been doing that for other systems that I've been restoring. And so basically there are different thermal zones. The fans, and of course all the fans replaced. It's a server grade fans, extremely high performance fans that you will find actually in the data centers. I just adopted it to be used here because the beauty that you can run these fans on significantly low RPMs, delivering the same airflow as would regular fans deliver. And you can control these RPMs for 4 zones individually with these pods. So as soon as we turn on the system, you'll see that there is a RPMs displayed and temperature displayed for every zone. Have to say that it's not just a cooling also replacement. This system has brand new power subsystem. So original switched power supply mid-80s, of course, replaced, scrapped. You never should use it, otherwise, well, it won't be a really stable system. And it gets the brand new switch power supply with high efficiency. Actually, it has 3 power supplies inside it. One is the main that drives all the digital boards. Another one is driving very little dual rail that needs this cage as well. And the third one is needed for fans. So fans are running on a separate power supply, on a different power rail, and so there is no any noise that may come from this section to another section. Of course, it has analog power supply inside it, and it's a traditional torus-based transformer, which is just amazing. Basically, the system fully recapped, and it has all the new caps in this analog section, and it's just great for that purpose. But keep in mind, digital section power supply must be replaced. All right, so with that, I'm going to connect the system, and we will get it started. Keep in mind, it will be a bit noisy, maybe noisier than usual, and it doesn't mean that the system is always noisy. I just put the RPMs to the level where we actually, to the current environment and to the current temperature in the room. And, but of course, it can be noisy because it has to move the heat out outside the system. All right, let's get started. Okay, now the system is up and running, and you might realize it's a bit noisier now. So on the cooling side, this is what's happening here. Basically it tells the RPMs for every fan domain, so there are multiple fans inside the system, and it's displayed here, as well as the temperature in Celsius displayed here. So right now we are in the MFX mode. So we are running a software 11, so it means that system is fully in MFX2 configuration. Let's have a quick look here. What you see, first of all, the Mfx Keyboard. MFX software doesn't run without Mfx Keyboard. So even you have the latest hardware for the main processing system and you don't have Mfx Keyboard, you'll not be able to run the Mfx software. Because all about Mfx software is how you control it from a keyboard, how you arm the tracks for recording, how you edit the tracks. You cannot do that without the keyboard, just period. Also, you'll find out that I have another keyboard and it looks like Apple keyboard, but it basically can be any USB keyboard. And the reason why I have it, because I'm using it with this interface called a USB to CMI developed by Joe Breed, a very good person. And basically this is the box that allows you to interface a regular USB keyboard to the CMI. So it runs with Series 3, Series 2. I already made a video about that, so I'm not going to talk about a lot, but basically it replaces the original pre-attack keyboard, alphanumeric keyboard that I no longer have and I don't need to have it. You'll also notice that I have a mouse connected to this keyboard, Mfx Keyboard, and it's just a regular serial port mouse, funny enough. And I have also a mouse connected to my USB keyboard, and they're both operational. Again, depends how you prefer to run it. You may also run the software 9 with Mfx Keyboard, and of course it will run just perfectly. And you can use this mouse to control it, or other mouse from this unit. Doesn't really matter. You may not have this piece at all. So I'm having it because basically I enjoy it and I like how this keyboard is working, but I also like the feeling of these mechanical keyboards of Mfx Keyboard too. Anyway, let's do some quick demo how MFX is working. Again, I'm not going to play it. I just show that it's working. So you press new, give a file name, call new test, press enter. Now basically you have new file created, project opened, and we are ready to arm the recording. So you press arm button, you select the track, you select that it's mono or stereo, and I have some speakers connected here, which I connected down below to the headphones output. And never ever use headphones output for any purpose. I'm only doing that just for this quick demo. For nothing that is about music production, never use headphone outputs, even for headphones. It's a crappy output, and in the later versions of the Fairlight, they actually stopped even soldering the circuitry for the headphones output. Anyway, right now, this is just my phone playing to the input card, and we can arm it for recording. To start the recording, you just press rec, play together. And the track ended. I think that's just enough. Okay, and now it's been recorded inside it, and everything like a regular DAW here from this point. And it plays back from this hard disk that I'm using for recording. But That's how system boots when you boot it with a software 11. Of course, you can go back to the CMI mode, and in order to do that, you press escape. Nothing is happening, but pretend that something is happening, and then your functional keys are working. So if you press escape and F2, you will get to the voice configuration menu. So, and that, from this standpoint, that is all original basic CMI software like it would be on the version 9. It looks slightly different, and that's why some people really prefer on running version 9, even on Mfx capable software, because the screen is slightly different. The video mode of that screen is different, and there are small dots like in this video mode when it runs in Mfx. If I now boot it back to the software 9, we won't see that, and the screen will be much cleaner for all the CMI purposes. This is just something that you need to remember, and this is how that operates. I think that's it. So that's just a basic demo of the system. And again, if you're done with that, all you do, you go back to the disk recording. Ideally, you close the project. Project closed. And you just turn it off. And then the silence. Thank you. See you next time. Goodbye.